Welcome back from Ireland. Today we're near Gort, Brazil. This place has 3,000, is it Brazilian people? I can't remember. 27% Brazilian people have decided to move to Ireland. Welcome in, guys and girls. You are welcome. Graagos Deniu. Love and affection for all of humanity, fixing the situation. Can it be? Aisling opens, arms wide, with a delighted nod, and smiles widely. Back to this was where we got to. If you would like to practice the magic in the previous video, if you could please include any energies for our network of centers. The basic blueprint is there's going to be a circular meditation place, and ideally 24 hours a day hot food. People can come, they can pray, they can take a nap. We're even thinking about getting some wicker outdoor beds with some covers over them, so you can take a nap outside on these outdoor, woven beds. What we're also discussing is that the Earth has a magnetosphere, and the animals and birds, they use it for navigation, right? The birds, they fly to Africa, and then they come back to Ireland each year. And the animals, they're also using their antenna and Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram. I'd keep going back to this, remembering the Sri Vrindavan Parikram trail. They do a big circle, all the pilgrims around the whole town. They circumambulate 5,000 temples in this tour, this walking tour, which is now a fast Formula One racetrack because they've tarmacked it. When I went there just a few short years ago, it was a dusty, muddy farm track. Now it's all tarmacked and everything's whizzing past while the barefoot pilgrims are walking along, and some people are bowing down and walking along and bowing down and bowing all the way around. And as at one point there's this guru, he's the chief priest of the temple. He's out there serving out the soups in the cold winter, and he's got his headset on and he's pouring the soup from a great height so it cools down as it goes, as it lands. And he's got 4 of them. It almost looks like a magic trick, kind of. He's pours 4 cups. He's doing the cups trick. Well, it's not a trick, but... And then he's not selecting homeless, poor people. Anybody. It doesn't matter what colour skin. Anybody comes up. Jai Ram. Jai Shri Ram. So we're trying to get that going. But as you know, there's got to be a demand for that, and that spiritual master, he's out there and he's doing that every day. And then sometimes as he's giving out the soups, he goes into a song and he starts singing as he's giving out the soups, when the music starts playing in the background, and then he's singing. So just over the last month, 2 months, Christmas and coming into January, I started to, through my meditations and prayers, have absorbed this need, this want, this desire from the environment itself. It's very quiet in Ireland. It rains a lot. The water goes in circles. It reflects a lot of energy back. It's very emotional. And this is what's come back through. So this is the proposal, and we're looking for trustees, volunteers, from any of the species of life, just interested people that want to get involved with this in any way, whether you would like to give your time, your intentions, your prayers. These are the most important things that we need. If you can send us any positive energy, whether it's a like or showing these videos to 3 friends, and with a little personal message, so we get some more publicity about this, then I'm sure it can manifest quickly, and we can get the worst deforested country in Europe reforested, not with the same conifers. Like, they've got this monocrop conifers going on. Conifers are not even native to Ireland. We want to repopulate the ancient original forests of Ireland. And one thing that's going to do as well with the water, with all the rain, is the trees are going to drink that, and that's going to help everybody, and it's going to help in other ways. Think about the birds as well. You know, if they're depending on all the different branches to land on, they're running out of places to land. Their numbers must be low, along with the 11% charge on your phone. If that's the same as the trees, then this country is in serious need of a forest recharge. So that's one of the main missions: reforestation and healing of the nations. This will send out a beacon of an example to the world about healing ecology, and the results will speak for themselves. We've written a poem as well today. It's all flowing out. I'm just going to go through the mission statement, see how you feel. To establish a network of sanctuaries in Ireland that protect domesticated farm animals for their entire natural lives. That doesn't mean all farm animals. It means farm animals that somehow are welcomed with ceremony over voluntarily. It's nothing to do with rustling or anything like that. We're thinking about maybe somebody has a large stock and they can perhaps, allow one of them to come over and stay with us. In the Vedic times, the kings would have a huge amount of cows. When they had a ceremony or something to get the blessings, they would donate some of their cows to the compassionate, honest Brahmins whose lives were spent in nature, praying for the benefit of all living beings. So like this, they would give something, some of them, and then, like that. And if they gave too many, sometimes these kings would give thousands of cows. The Brahmins would give them away again. The Brahmins didn't just know how to collect donations like we see sometimes. A lot of Brahmins are expert at collecting and hoarding. They're not very good at distributing to the congregation. So the real Brahmins, as it says in the Vedas, they also knew how to give donations. It's a two-way transference of energy. Ultimately, we don't own anything. We're simply the respectful, humble servants of the project, which is aiming at healing on an absolute scale and reconnecting with nature. The energy in these places, it will be enabling people to step back, feel themselves coming back into connection with nature. Whereas with the, Los Angeles, it took me 3 hours stuck in traffic for a distance where it should have been 30 minutes. We're slowly getting further and further sort of gridlocked in our quest of being separate from humanity. So nature will create the time to meditate in patience, one way or the other. And those, let's just say, like those animals, again, we were talking about the birds and stuff, they're trying to follow the cosmic navigation compass that's telling them it's time to go that way, it's time to go over there, a long way over there. And if these creatures are all stood staring at the hedge at one corner of the field, and they can't go past it, that creates the grid gets blocked, you see. Whereas, say, like in India, the cows, I went to one person's house for dinner, and I go down to use the bathroom, and the cow comes home, like letting the cat out. I have to step to one side, and the cow comes through from the street. The cow came back home again and sits out the back. So like this, people let the cow out and they go off for a wander, and then they come back again. So it's more of a free, And then you've got, say, another place I was living, and I'm helping him because the neighbours are complaining. Your sheep are in my field again, they've escaped. So we're trying to put the wall up to stop the sheep from going there, because it's, it's a different person's field and they're not happy with that. So when the rams get confined, it creates a disharmony, which then, the energy goes in a big circle, and then who knows how it all works. So to establish a network of sanctuaries in Ireland that protect domesticated farm animals for their entire natural lives, restore native Irish woodland and hedgerows on owned and stewarded land, and offer simple meditation and contemplative spaces where people can reconnect with land, animals, and healing, which is the hidden spring behind the ecology. This project works through ownership where necessary and stewardship where possible. And I would say, loving devotional service without expectation, without motivation, that's, free-flowing on a voluntary basis of how much you would like to do when you choose to do it. It's got to be as free choice as possible for the energies to flow naturally. Forced domination control systems fail us. Everything has to be done with the greatest amount of love and the least amount of forced domination control. I think that's the best way to put it about how these, the electromagnetic desires of the movements of the animals and the children or whatever are getting blocked, then that's causing a debt in the people that put up those fences. They're getting into a kind of karmic debt, which is them going to kind of whoosh, there's going to be some kind of a clearing, which could cause pain, to allow that energy to flow the way it was supposed to be flowing before, right? Like a dam. It builds up, and then whoosh, something's going to take it out. Dam busters, you know what I mean? Who knows? So we don't want that to happen. I want everybody to feel valued, cared for, looked after, safe for their entire natural lives, right? That should be the reason we have law, and law is the law of love, hopefully. The love for everyone to have freedom safely in cohabitation as far as possible. The project works through ownership where necessary and stewardship where possible. Partnering with landowners, farms and retreat centres to care for land that is underused, degraded, or ready for a different future. We commit to lifelong protection and dignified care for sheep, cows, horses, donkeys, and similar other living beings. Restoration of native Irish trees and habitats on multiple sites. Now, of course, this is in Ireland, where we're geographically based. If you wanted to take up the same idea, you could adopt this wherever you live, if you're feeling the vibes. Imagine jungly temples like Angkor Wat or something like that. Let's think really big. Angkor Wat was actually buried in jungle. Was it that place? They had to cut away all the vines to rediscover this temple. Now maybe that's how it was supposed to be. But yeah. We even had a gibbon where my apartment is. I was reading the history. In the 60s, the park had Sheila the gibbon. And now, today, you go there, it's all dogs. You don't see any other animal than dogs running around. And they're off leads. They could have their nose in your pocket looking for food, slobbering all over you. No offense to dogs, but Sheila the gibbon passed away. No more gibbons were brought back to the park, guys. Sheila the gibbon and her legacy are extinct. And that's just since the 1960s. So times change, things change. Babaji's pass away, the temple remains empty for some time, and then it collapses, it goes into disrepair. And like this, you saw the place on the last video. There was a beautiful church there by the living spring. Yesterday I saw a man, just as I was leaving, I was sitting here meditating, and he pulled up behind me. He had a box on the roof of his car, and it was full of empty plastic bottles. So he was going there to that spring to collect, I don't know how many 5-litre bottles that was, a box full of them. So he was collecting a ton of that water. So, there you see, people are coming here for reasons of healing. Just collecting the spring water that's medicine right there, and he knows it. So, restoration of native trees and habitats on multiple sites. Non-extractive, non-violent land use. Quiet, accessible spaces for meditation, rest, and nourishment. Acting as long-term stewards and guardians rather than controllers or exploiters of the land. It's exploitation that has separated humanity from the land. And just like if you go barefoot walking and then you compare it with when you put your shoes on, you realize when you got your shoes on, you're insulated from the land, and that insulation suddenly your awareness of where you're walking is not so important a little bit. Your consciousness kind of drops down with the convenience. So due to exploitation, our connection and our awareness with the land has dropped down a little bit. And that's where this sneaky, greedy business patterns of cruel exploitation can sneak over and cause a lot of widespread pain and destruction, which goes against the general rule of the law, which is originally, I believe, coming from the king, who was a religious person, who was, the first commandment is that God is love, which is like thou shalt not kill, which is non-violence. That's the opposite version of, non-violence, is that you love everyone. And that is the law. So we're just trying to get it back to loving the land, to fitting in with the original laws of nature. For the humans. Humans are a lot of other creatures' greatest hope, because with these fingers we can get the head out the fence. We can help a creature to give birth that would otherwise die. We can do a lot of good service if we're in the right vibe. So in stewardship, you could also call that like, devotional, caring servitorship, with not a gleam in their eye for like, now you're mine, this in Ireland with the 3 restaurants of the Hare Krishna. I go for a meal and he says, we need to have a meeting in my office in the basement, and then after that he's saying, you stay in Ireland now, you stay here and I tell you what to do, thinking that because I became a monk that he owns me. I only come in there for a meal. My friend said, if you ever wanted to go for a vegan vegetarian meal, go there, because they serve prasadam. But no, don't go there as a young monk with glasses, because he'll try to kidnap you and get you in his field. Do you know what I mean? Now you work for me, buddy. And I was like, I don't think so. Have to phone up my other devotees, and then they're like, come back to London, what are you doing in Ireland? I'm like, my family live in Ireland. And I'm saying, well, you don't go and visit your family again. So I'm like, what? So they were just the same. They're all thinking that because you became a volunteer for their movement, that somehow you're now their possession. So we've got to avoid this type of slave hoarding manager rulership of these colonial sects and cults, because that's not exactly the same vibe as the Vedas, to be honest with you. Not exactly the same thing as what you're finding if you go to India and you sit with the Babajis who live outside. They're not trying to control your wallet. They're laughing, hugging, giving gifts and singing, and on Google Translate saying, this dear friend of mine is always welcome here. And there's no domination force. It's just good to see you, with an equal vibe. There's no hierarchic situation. And that's what it used to be like in Ireland. The standing stone circles, or these circles on the hills, were places that were approachable from any direction, and they were non-threatening for anyone that went there. Why? Because there were no corners in the circles. There are no corners. So this is the beauty of the Irish architecture, and why I suggest that the meditation centres be circular, is that there's no corners for people to feel threatened or impositioned by hierarchic hostility and oppressive intimidation. Non-violent land use all comes under that little section there. Quiet, accessible spaces for meditation, rest and nourishment. A place where you feel respected and you become connected, reconnected, and a good place to make new friends without having to get slaughtered on 10 drinks or something. Acting as long-term stewards and guardians rather than controllers or exploiters of land. Core principles. Lifelong care. Animals, what to speak of all the other trees and guests, are protected for the duration of their natural lives. Not, my job is to send you back to the spiritual world, as fast as possible. And therefore, our colonial religion doesn't have healthcare or dentistry or devotee care, because it's just about get the money off them and hope they go back to the spiritual world quickly, and then we can all have a celebration that they passed away. No, their entire natural lives should be valued and carefully cared for. First priority. Lifelong care. Not, oh, this devotee's pooped out, he can't collect anymore, send him back to mummy and daddy's, because it's not useful for us anymore. Right land, number 2. Right land, right use. So if there's a particular land that's bog, then it has to be related to in a way that's, bog land would be used for. It has to be used intelligently, not that we just put the same blueprint plan on every land. The land has to be carefully related to, just the same as people, individuals, everyone's different, should all be carefully related to. What service would you like to do today? What would you like to offer yourself? Not, this is what we want you to do. What would you like to do? What service would the bug like to do? Animals, trees, and people need different kinds of places, different kinds of spaces, different types of times, circumstances, everything there. Stewardship over ownership. Land does not need to be owned to be healed. 4. Slow time. Decisions are made on decades, centuries, or yuga cycle long horizons. Some people are coming through Newgrange from 3,000 years ago. They're looking for their land back. We'll get onto that on another video. 5. Simplicity and restraint. Growth only where care can be sustained. 6. Trust and transparency. Clear agreements with landowners and partners. Communication and negotiation skills are key. A lot of the time, things break down simply because there wasn't clear communication. You're not on the temple council, so therefore you're not allowed to know that we changed the arrangement. And then the person cries and leaves and feels uncared for, and why did they do all that service for them before? Just to get ripped off and lied to and driven away. If there had been a little bit more communication, then you're not on the temple council, so we have meetings behind your back and you're not allowed to know, then maybe that person would still be there helping you and would have organised a ton of more festivals that he was doing for free without payment, and you might have a stack more new devotees smiling and shining and attracting even more, and it might have kept growing even better. Trust and transparency are key qualities that we need to pray for and embody. 7. Non-coercion. No heavy preaching. The other day, one of my friends went to this temple up north, explains that he met another devotee there. I used to live with him 25 years ago now. Within 10 minutes of telling him that, he's saying to me, "Chant Hare Krishna after me, Hare Krishna," as though like he's some sort of aggressive primary school teacher. After 2.5 decades of chanting every day, I'm looking at him thinking, okay, thank you. Point 7. Non-coercion. Spiritual or contemplative practices are always optional. We got to remember, when people come to learn about meditation, it usually means they already know about it before they've showed up. They've already used their intelligence to read about it, heard about it, and then they're coming to practice it. So we don't want to be like an aggressive primary school teacher on them, because it's going to insult their intelligence and their emotions, and they're going to go away feeling belittled, ridiculed, and their nervous system will warn them not to go back. And it's not that they're wrong, their nervous system is right. Only go to places where your nervous system is allowed to feel calm, valued, and respected. Moving on. Ceremonial, spiritual, and contemplative practices. These are optional, non-coercive practices. Nobody's getting forced, dominated, or controlled into anything. Not even, everybody sing, I can't hear you. None of that. Some people, if they don't sing, they don't have to sing. They sing when they want to sing. They've been coming along for decades. They don't need you to start shouting at them to sing. Unless they're paying for that and they want you to do that, I wouldn't bother doing that. Anyway, the network is rooted in healing as a restoration of right relationships. All spiritual or energetic practices are offered freely, transparently, and without expectation. When I was at the Golden Temple in Amritsar, I met some other Sikh brothers in Chandigarh. They invited me to go there. They told me there's accommodation there for free. You go to this particular building, ask this person, he will give you a room for free. When I went there, the room looked like a police cell, to be honest with you. I asked him, like, can I give a donation, or how does it work? And he said, we never ask for donations. If you like to give something, you can, but we don't ask. It's totally up to you. So that's pretty amazing. Tree and seed ceremonies. Seasonal tree planting ceremonies. Blessing of seeds and saplings with clear, respectful intention. Quiet acknowledgements of soil, water, weather, and time. Celtic, Druidic inspired rites. Simple, grounded ceremonies drawing from Celtic and Druidic traditions. Acknowledgement of place, ancestors, and land without dogma. Language adapted to suit mixed or secular groups. So we can draw on world teachings. It doesn't matter. This is just trying to get as rooted as we can with the local environment's resonance. Animal welcome and care rituals. First arrival welcome ceremonies for animals entering sanctuary. Marking transitions. Arrival, recovery, end of life with dignity and presence. Emphasis on calm, safety and respect rather than spectacle. Meditation, yoga and pranic healing. Again, these are optional. Only if people are voluntarily interested. Meditation, yoga, breathwork and pranic healing offered periodically. Pranic healing is practiced as a non-coercive, consent-based energy hygiene and balancing practice, not as medical treatment. Pranic healing is also, it's like a psychotherapy to tune us into the right intention of how we approach the world and the people in it. Always optional, clearly described in advance and adaptable to participants' comfort levels. Ongoing practices of respect. Regular moments of gratitude to land, forests, animals and people. Seasonal observances aligned with ecological and agricultural cycles. Safeguards. Participation is never tied to access to food, shelter, care or belonging. Clear opt-out at any time, without explanation. No claims of cure or replacement of medical care. Practices adjusted to respect partners, landowners, and local communities. But what would suggest in terms of access to food is that we want to follow our spiritual master's dream, which was that he saw some children in India eating out of the garbage, and he said all of our temples for 10 miles no one should go hungry. So we want to try to keep that dream alive, so that the meditation centers hopefully have 24-hour staff preparing the hot food, so it's not been waiting for hours. They can prepare it and make it ready in 10 minutes, and it's 24 hours available. I even saw a dilapidated petrol station the other day closed down, and I just imagined people driving in like a drive-through, and with Sikh brothers distributing, leaf cups of food to people through the car windows, or coming inside and sitting. One-page partnership proposal for landowners and other retreat centers. What we are creating: a small, values-led organization that protects farm animals for life on dedicated sanctuary land. What to speak of retired monks and other retired folk that are looking for community or something. Restores native woodland and hedgerows on suitable parcels of land. Offers meditation and contemplative spaces in partnership with existing retreat centers. This is a distributed model. Animals, trees, and meditation do not need to be on the same land, but they could also be on the same land. It would be nice to meditate. I meditated deep in a forest the other day. Just the energy, the pranic energy of all of those trees surrounding me when I was meditating was amazing. What we are seeking from landowners or retreat centers, we may seek permission to restore your woodlands or hedgerows on part of your land. Long-term stewardship agreements, 10 plus years. Quiet space suitable for meditational use. Collaboration rather than sales. No transfer of ownership is required. What we offer: professional and careful land restoration using native Irish species. Clear written agreements and insurance coverage. Respect for the existing land use and the boundaries. Positive ecological legacy for your land. Alignment with values of care, stillness, and responsibility. What this is not a commercial farming operation. This is not intensive development. This is not public access without agreement. This is not a short-term project. This is not spiritual colonialization. First, small steps we begin with. 1 or 2 woodland restoration sites. If you're in Ireland and you're interested in this, please get in contact. If you look on the, you can DM me on the description of my channel on Instagram. One small meditation partnership. Or my email is alder, the name of the tree, alderworldteam@gmail.com. One small meditation partnership. Animals only when long-term sanctuary land is secured. The project grows slowly and carefully. Why this matters. Ireland has lost much of its native woodland, and many animals live disposable lives within agricultural systems. This project offers a different relationship with land and life, one based on care, time and responsibility rather than extraction. Next steps. We would welcome a conversation to explore whether your land or retreat centre might be suited to this kind of partnership, with no obligation and no pressure. Minimum viable land size. We don't have to go into this really. Any land size. We've been bouncing ideas, 200 acres, 10 acres, 50 acres. We give it all we got, whatever we can serve. Mixed silver pasture, mature woodland, wetland if available. Sample sanctuary layout. If you're an architect and you're watching this, I know I do have a few architects. If you know any architects, or if you're feeling like having some fun, see if you could draw us a sample sanctuary layout. Conceptual design. Remember, things begin as plans, then words, then they manifest physically. Everything begins with a plan. Your plan is very important. Here's some ideas. A core quiet zone for meditation. I suggest circular because there's no corners, there's no threats, there's no deities caged up in the corner with a hierarchic, money box collecting set of elite above ye people that you're not allowed to go in there because you're not as advanced as the leadership management. We want to try to dodge out of that situation and try to keep it on a more original ancient Celtic vibe. Meditation, circular hall, walking paths for compassionate walking. Even, facilities for barefoot walking. That's what I was seeing in Bhubaneswar as well last year in the parks, that they've got these sections for barefoot where it's like loads of pebbles, and it's quite painful to walk over these pebbles, but it's specifically designed for barefoot massage walking. So it would be nice to have some stuff like that. Barefoot walking health sections, meditational sections, different kind of pathways. Around the centres, we don't want any machinery. It has to be as peaceful as possible. Animal living areas. Field shelters. Animal living areas. Woodland restoration zones. Native tree plots. Hedgerows as corridors. Exclusion fencing during early growth. If there are animals mixed in around the trees, then we've got to kind of protect those trees. a human support area, kitchen and dining, staff volunteer housing, tools, sheds and barns, and resting areas, outdoor beds. When I was in Vrindavan about, I don't know, a good few years ago, they actually had like a marquee beside the river Jamuna, and wandering saints could come and they could go in the marquee and they could crash out in there for a bit. That's where I met Pagal Baba, and we went singing around the town, and he had some crazy songs. If you want to see those videos, you can find those. Pagal Baba, wherever you are now, Pagal Baba, I'll never forget you and your strange songs. I actually managed to get somebody to translate one of the songs, and it was something about departed residents get ready to leave or something. Departing residents prepare to leave, please chant the holy names now with me, or something like this. I had no idea for years until somebody translated what he was singing. Native tree and habitat plan indicative. Primary trees: oak, sessile and pedunculate, if that's the right pronunciation, birch, silver and downy, alder, wet areas, rowan, willow. If you know any other native Irish trees, please leave them in the comments. Understory and hedgerow: hazel, hawthorn, blackthorn, holly, elder. Planting strategy: Year 1 to 3, fenced woodland plots. Year 4 to 10, expansion and enrichment. Year 10, minimal intervention. Animal welfare framework. What they were doing in France as well was one of the presidents there built himself a thatch hut and was running herbal medicine from there, and he was willing to teach anybody that goes there how to build their own thatch hut and live in the forest. Animal welfare framework: registered herd numbers, horse passports, annual veterinary health plans, end-of-life care protocols, and no breeding policy, which is that we need to look into that, but there's pros and cons to this. Animals, and it seems that a no breeding policy is the safest option for a sanctuary. Animals accepted only when lifetime care is financially and spatially secure. The meditation center and food distribution in phase 1 will be scheduled meals of 2 to 3 daily, with a vegetarian plant-based emphasis, and then phase 2 with volunteer resident cook rotation, stepping the extended kitchen hours eventually up to 24-hour hot food availability for guests. All food services will be compliant with Irish food safety regulations. If we were to pay for this entire operation, we'd be looking at a first year capital of about €640,000. That's to get like permits, fencing, land and everything like this. Most of that money would be to shelters, and the land would be ranging in hundreds of thousands. But if we could get people to allow access or donate the land, then that would rapidly decrease the amount of capital required. So we're hoping for donations, animal sponsorships, retreat contributions, grants for native woodland creation, community memberships, and long-term bequests. Legal and organisational structure: Irish registered charity, a board of trustees, a written animal protection covenant, and a financially transparent policy. Now, can you think of a good name for this project? If you can, please write it in the comments. We'd love to hear your ideas for this network. This project is viable, but only through patience, humility, and careful stewardship, careful meditation, careful prayer. It's not a retreat center with animals. It's a sanctuary that allows people to enter into a slower moral and ecological time. The land will decide the final form. Okay, thank you for listening. That's the proposal. That's the vision. Now we just have to do some pranic healing each day and try to meet some nice people and plant the seeds and see how it grows, see how it goes. The seed has already been planted. If you'd like to join us by praying this into intention, into manifestation, then please add your thoughts, add your words, add your good deeds, and we'll be really grateful. So first, we give thanks to the Supreme God, Divine Father, Mother, holy angels, archangels, saints of all traditions, spiritual helpers. We thank you. We humbly invoke for divine love, divine human, divine healing ecology, connection, and extra boosted relationships that bring everyone out with a new level of love and happiness, satisfaction, inner satisfaction that just keeps growing and growing. We thank you in full faith. Now become aware of our heart, the love in our own heart. I am that. I am loving. We then increase that love out to our friends, to our family, to those close to us. We then spread it out to the place where we live, to the people around us where we live, to the surrounding neighborhoods, to the surrounding counties, to the entire country where we live, go across the oceans to the surrounding countries, sending that love out to all the countries across the world, moving out, sending that love out to the other planets around our planet, sending that love out across the galaxy, spreading that love out across all the major galaxies, to all the stars, right across the universe. may be blessed, may be filled with loving kindness. Amen. Now come back, we pictured our earth in front of us as a little ball from the position of the sun. Wherever there is pain, sorrow or suffering, with the mood of St. Francis of Assisi, may that place be blessed and filled with lots of joy and lots of happiness. Picture the earth surrounded with divine, healing, loving light. Give as much energy through your heart and through the palms of your hands directed to that little ball as you possibly can. Breathing in love. Breathing out love to all living beings. Compassion. Breathing out. Breathing in love. Breathing out compassion, kindness from the heart to all living beings. Now chant Om 3 times. Om. Now bring the love from the heart up to the top of the head, breathing in. Now breathe out that love. Once again, breathe in the love from the heart up to the ground, the top of the head. And breathing out kindness and compassion for all living beings. Once again, breathing in love from the heart up to the crown at the top of the head. And breathing out compassionate, kind love for all living beings. Once again, we give thanks to the Supreme Lord, Divine Father, Mother, Holy Angels, Archangels, all the different living entities, ancestors, spirits, guides, all the creatures, great and small, people, blissed out people having a hard time. We thank you with lots of love and lots of joy. Thank you. To your Ishtadev, to the ones that you pray to, we thank you for your message of compassion, your kindness, showing us a good example. We thank you. Okay, So Hermes Trismegistus, he was regarded as being his name Trismegistus is 3 levels of combination: physical, mental, and emotional body. This is described as like chariot. You got a chariot driven by horses, 3 horses. Got the physical, the mental, and the emotional. Unless those 3 are aligned, then you're not going to be able to keep this chariot in the right direction, going where you want it to go. So Hermes Trismegistus was regarded in such high regard because he had his physical, emotional, and mental bodies in perfect alignment. So when he chose to perform his acts of compassion, then his goals came through really quickly. So we don't know how quickly this proposal today is going to come through, because it depends on each person's alignment and how tuned in they are to compassion, and how tuned in they are is how quickly the results are going to come through. Some people get it on one level, on an emotional level. They may get it on on a mental level. Sounds good, but then physically nothing comes through. So it takes time, and let's see. And I'm now finished with my poem from today. It's still getting tuned in a bit, or it may be a rap song. If you're ready. Following humanity, getting separated from connection to the nature G. Exploitation gave the vibe, we left the environment and even other humanity behind. Recollecting to the nature, we realized we were never separated at any time. It was just the way we thought that due to domination, force, control, we were apart due to becoming unaligned. Love and care and freedom, all respect to the ones close, and also over there, no distractions from a species destroyed by their own designs. Healing ecology, we breathe and connect with nature completely at the correct frequency. All enter the circle equally. Om, the circuit resistance will reset, achieve balance. Till then, chaos and unrest will haunt society, releasing the karma pains. Time to shine with the divine kindness, giving happiness to others naturally, heartfelt, body and mind. Animals following electromagnetic navigation. Energy gets blocked, then there's a massive energy starvation. Waking up with bad vibes, disarming the calm from yesterday. Sacred rams blocked from following the cosmic heart, causing grid disharmony. Nature's GPS magnetic fields align. Horses are stalling, stretching over, getting confined. Disrupting the flow on the grid, giving society a bad sign. Cosmic maps within, brothers travel from their offices in Delhi, lay on the ground beside the holy name, home free, babas up early, out in the ice, although elderly. Tuning into the pulse guides, wave of encouragement, inspiration, unity, turning the timeless tides. Smiling mercifully with the purity, clarity, wishing all beings prosperity. Inhale the sky, exhale and unwind. Thanks for listening, guys. Namaste, Shlanta Kara.